Today's Daily Dose of Math is a three-part question. In each case, we're being asked the same thing. For each of the following, what will you get for $50? And we are answering that question for each of A, B, and C. Each of these has a function that has been given to us in different ways. Let's look at A first. It's a linear function. They said so. That helps. I don't have to test to see if it's inverse or something else. Linear function, I want to get an equation in y equals ax plus b form. If I have the equation in that form, I can plug $50 into it. And because they gave the unit of measure dollars and they define the variables for me, I know that x is the dollars. Therefore, I'm going to plug x equals 50 into my equation. But first I have to get my equation. And since I was given a table of values, I need to do the slope formula to find the slope. That'll be my first step. y2 minus y1 is 8.75 minus 5. I'm using these 2 points over x2 minus x1, which is 3.5 minus 2. This gives me 3.75 over 1.5, and that will simplify to give me 2.5. My A is 2.5. I have the equation y equals 2.5x plus b. I need to know what the b is. And I will find out what it is by plugging one of the points I know into the equation. I'm going to use x equals 2, y equals 5. 5 equals 2.5 times 2 plus b. Now b is my only unknown. 5 equals 5 plus b when I multiply, and therefore b is equal to 5 minus 5. B is equal to 0. My equation for this first linear function is y equals 2.5x. Or if I wish, I can write y equals 2.5x plus 0. Now I can plug x equals 50 into it and get my answer. Y equals 2.5 times 50, which is 125. And the unit of measure is corn cobs. This is a y, so it's corn cobs. Well, that wasn't too difficult. I have practiced with the slope formula. I have practiced this step where I find my b. And then plugging a value into the equation becomes straightforward with a bit of practice too. Let's look at question B. Question B is actually going to be easier than A because they told us the slope and the y-intercept. They didn't actually say that it's linear, but they're mentioning a slope, and that's an indicator that it should be linear. In the course I'm making this video for, the student only has to be able to do this sort of thing with a linear function and an inverse function, and inverse functions don't have a slope. So it's a clue. I'm using the y equals ax plus b form again, and because they handed me my slope and my y-intercept, I have y equals 3x plus 8. Reminder, A is the slope, B is the y-intercept. Now I'm plugging x equals 50 into it again, because again, the x is dollars, and 50 is dollars. So y equals 3 times 50 plus 8, which is 150 plus 8, which is 158, and the unit of measure for y is minutes. So I bought 158 minutes with my $50. Now let's do question C. I'll erase these calculations to make a bit of room. Again, they didn't actually say this is linear, but when I look at the graph they gave me, it looks like a straight line. It certainly doesn't look like an inverse. And in fact, they're telling me the b is 4, because they're showing me the y-intercept of this line. So I'm going to have the equation y equals ax plus 4. To find my a, I plug in this point they gave me, 8, 8. So y is 8, x is 8. The only unknown now is my a. 8 equals 8a plus 4. 8 minus 4 equals 8a. Therefore, 4 equals 8a. and I divide both sides by 8 in order to isolate my variable. A is equal to 1/2. My equation is going to be y equals 1/2 x plus 4. If x is 50, it's $50, and there's the dollars on the x-axis. Y will be equal to 1/2 times 50 plus 4. Y is equal to 25 plus 4. Y is equal to 29. And my unit of measure this time is tomatoes. So what we're seeing in this question is that there are various different ways that we can be given enough information to realize that we have a linear function and to find its equation in y equals ax plus b form, so that we can use that equation to answer questions. In order to be able to handle questions like this, we have to be adaptable. We have to know how to do the straight lines math, the slope formula, plugging in a point in order to find our b. We have to be familiar with terminology like slope and y-intercept and seeing how they fit into the y equals ax plus b form of the equation. But once the student has done enough practice with these things, the student gets to a point where they don't care how they're given the information. They're able to take that information, do straight lines math to it, find an equation, and answer the question. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please like, subscribe, and share.